Welcome to the 1216 podcast. I am 12 and we're here with a new segment. The segment is tier makers. As you can tell, we have the vice captains going on up here right now. And this is going to be a One Piece themed video. So sit back, relax, and get ready to disagree or agree with me in the comments. So starting off first, we have Shiryu, ex-Marine that was locked away and impaled down, that was freed up by Teach, aka Blackbeard, when he went down there to just see, hey, I'll get you out if you follow me type thing. But Shiryu, other than that, we don't see too many feats from him. We get a little bit of him inside the manga, but outside of that, like, he doesn't portray what it means to be a true vice captain. I can see Burgess being more of the vice captain, but Shiryu for right now has to be a D tier. Just because I don't see him going any. I'll put him at C tier. I'll put him at C tier for right now. So Shiryu C tier. We need more. We just need more. Next on the list, without further ado, our first S tier is going to be Rayleigh, and Zoro. I'll put Zoro in front of Rayleigh. So Rayleigh and Zoro, I'll talk about both of them right now. Rayleigh and Zoro both know that they're going to follow their captain's lead no matter what happens and pass on whatever. If their captains were to pass away, they're going to pass on the knowledge of their captains and keep going strong with that. We see Rayleigh as he notices. We see Rayleigh as Rayleigh notices the straw hat being passed down to people who mean something. Somebody that's special. Somebody with those feet just that screams out, "You're him." I'm going to make sure that my captain's will is inside you, and I can feel it because of what's being passed on to you. And we see how Rayleigh I can tell you what happened, how to find a One Piece. And when Luffy declined it, he looked at Luffy and said, "You're the one. I love the way that you are. You're going to be the one who is the next king of the pirates." And he sees that inside him. He sees the feats of his captain inside of Luffy. Also, we see that Rayleigh passes on whatever knowledge he can down the line to whatever pirates come. He's on Sabo Odi Archipelago for right now, just hiding away or living his life pretty much. And he is by far S tier ranked second commander. We get Zoro as a S tier as well, only because Zoro shows from day one, when he was tied up, that he was willing to sacrifice his dream to seek out the dream of his the future king of the pirates, and Luffy. He dedicated that he will become the greatest swordsman, but only if he can be up there with Luffy as he watches Luffy become the king of the pirates. We know it's going to happen, unless some Oda has some weird thing that happens and throws us all off, but I don't see that happening. But for right now, Zoro, his feats, the only thing that people will probably argue about is that Zoro fought Luffy to like a death battle, but everybody else on the team fought Luffy to a death battle. And when it was happening, Zoro said something to them. He said something to Usopp. Usopp wanted to leave, and everybody wanted to try to stop him. He said, "No, there's no going after him. This is what he made his mind up to be. If you guys are going to follow, if he looked at Luffy and said, if you're going to switch your mind up after telling him to leave the crew and try to get him back inside here, I'm going to leave the crew, because this is what it means to be king of the pirates. This is what it means to be a captain of a ship. You have to learn that, Luffy, now, or you will never learn it ever. And if you don't learn it, Zoro is willing to walk." But he got through to Luffy inside that instance. He fought Luffy on the island with the Baroque Works. Members came after them, the hundreds came after them, and Zoro stayed up awake after everybody else went to sleep, passed out from either drinking or eating too much or partying too much. Zoro stayed up just to watch over his crew because he knew something was fishy inside the water. And on top of that, We just see them. They got into a fight because of a misunderstanding. It wasn't that Zoro was going to back down from Luffy at all. At the end of the day, Zoro still has to be the world's strongest swordsman. But it's the fact that he knew this would be the only way to get through to Luffy, as if they collided with one another before, obviously before Nami came up there and Sokka boppered both of them. But Zoro has been there for every crew member since day one, as well as Luffy, and he embodies what it means. Going back to with Buggy, when we first introduced Buggy, like Luffy was in a cage. Zoro walked up, said, "Who's this girl right here?" As soon as Luffy said, "That's our new navigator," he said, "Oh, cool," and then put Luffy on his back and walked off with him. After they sent the buggy ball flying, of course, but Zoro's been day one on his captain's side. Even the greatest feat, when Mihawk defeated him at the Baratier, he put his sword in the air and said, "Captain, will you," something along the lines of, "I'm going to be the world's greatest swordsman, and I want you to know that." And it's something about that that just stuck with his captain, and that's what he knew with Luffy and the crew. They knew Zoro was that second mate for a reason. Plus, come on, man, Zoro's my favorite character. I'm not being biased, but he is an S tier. He is an S tier guy, and so is Rayleigh. Even though we don't get enough of Rayleigh. Like, we don't see a lot of him. So I want to put him in A tier, but because we do get the backstories and we do know that Rayleigh was there for Roger throughout everything, and just the way that he is around Roger, like it's pure beauty. Um, it's like it's the same exact person looking at each other, except Rayleigh has the scar across his right eye. Zora has a scar across his left eye. It's just these two are my S tiers. Ben Beckman is up next. Ben Beckman is part of the Red Hair Pirates with Shanks. We first got introduced to him when we seen the bandits trying to take Luffy on. But Luffy standing up for them for the Red Hair Pirates after getting doused in alcohol. Outside of that, we don't really get a lot of Ben Beckman. We see him inside of a few, cameos here and there throughout the show and the manga, and then a few cameos inside the movies. Like in the manga right now, like what we seen, what just happened, what Shanks just did like a few chapters ago. Yeah, like we don't get a whole lot of Ben Beckman. I love his character though. He does embody what it means to be second in command, but I just haven't seen enough of him yet. So I'm gonna throw him at the. I'm I'm gonna throw him at A tier, just because I know what he brings to the table still, and how he rides for Shanks. Up next, we have Katakuri, Charlotte Katakuri of the Big Mom Pirates, the oldest son of the Big Mom Pirates. Um, he does embody a lot of what it means to be second in command, strength wise. But based off everything else, like he's just an older brother to them. Like he looks out for them. When Brulus got kidnapped by Luffy, he was there trying to get her back along the way. We see him pop up in a few other things, but it's the fact that he was training somebody and gained their respect, which is not a bad thing at all to do. But the person who pretty much, how can I put this? I can see Katakuri, if he becomes the captain of the Big Mom Pirates one day of Charlene, if he becomes the captain of them, I can see him being a part of the Shawhead Grand Fleet. So it's hard. It's hard to place him somewhere. based off his feats, what he does, his abilities, his power. He does look after he does look after the other people in his pirate ship. He's not S tier. He's not D tier. He's definitely not down there with Shiryu. I'm gonna put him at A tier. His strength, his feats, and he does look out for his crew as well. Yeah, I'll keep Katakuri at A tier because I like this spot right here for him. Up next is King of the Wildfire, aka Alba. Alba, as we all know it, joined up with Kaido at a very young age after being broken out of prison. Not prison, but after being broken out of not Punk Hazard, the experimental core. Been experimented on at Vegapunk Island at Punk Hazard. The experiments, all the stuff being done to him after he got broken out. He changed the name from Alba to King because that's what he's seen Kaido. That's what he heard Kaido tell him, and then he just rolled with Kaido ever since then. He's trained under him, being probably the first mate of Kaido's Beast Pirates. Since Kaido left Rocks, this is basically what ended up happening. But we don't get a whole lot of King looking out for his crew and being that true embodiment of a first mate, that second in command, vice captain. We don't get a whole lot of it from him, so I'm not gonna put him in A tier. I'm putting him in B tier for right now. We do see that he has great powers. His feats, his hacks are amazing, but he doesn't scream out to me, "Oh, I'm vice captain of the Beast Pirates. We're gonna do things this way." We didn't get a whole lot of that from him. It sucks. I do wish I would have got to see more of him. I love the vice captains. All the vice captains are amazing to me, in my opinion. But I just wish we had more. We would have seen more in the manga or in anime of King, and or got more a little bit extended of his backstory or time with Kaido as they grew up together. Next we have Marco. Marco the freaking Phoenix. Marco was willing to die for Whitebeard. Marco was willing to die for Whitebeard. He was willing to die for Ace. He was willing to die for his entire crew, but he understood that his death wasn't going to save anything and that he can only live out Whitebeard's teachings if he survived. Marco knew that the survival of him led him to becoming, making sure that the rest of the crew is taken care of. Whitebeard knew he was done with. The mission was not over with at Marineford. But he did make sure that the rest of the pirate crews were safe. And for that, Marco the Phoenix is an S tier, hands down. Marco the Phoenix will go out of his way to make sure that his crew knows what's going on. That Whitebeard can trust Marco with anything, any task to get done, and it will get done. Marco shows his feats and his hacks make him who he is, and that's Himothy. It's hard to say that about a lot of people in this list, but Marco the Phoenix truly, I want to put him above. As a matter of fact, Marco is number one on the S tier in my opinion. He embodies what it is to be that first mate because he just shows that he will do whatever it takes to see his captain truly live his dreams out, or whatever command he goes with whatever command without going against word from it, or without even putting up a fuss about it. Marco the Phoenix, S tier, love it to death. And we finish off with Sadibo, aka Sabo, of the Revolutionary Army. Sabo off back is either going A or going S. It's one or the other. Um, Sabo, he shows what it means to be. He sh- he shows what it means to take ownership of whatever is going on and truly lead with a fiery fist of justice. His passion behind whatever everything that he does, Sabo does it for the Revolutionary Army. Dragon can sit back and just know that Sabo is getting everything done with for a reason, and he's doing it the best way possible. Sabo might be. I might have to move Sabo ahead of Marco, um, because we just seen some more stuff in the manga. Spoiler alert for those of you who have not read yet. We see that Sabo just got back safety to the Revolutionary Army's hideouts. We seen what he had to go through. He faced Im Sama and the five Gurusei, and still made it out alive. He's been framed for killing Cobra and is informing, and he made it back with passengers from the refugees, people who were going to Lucia Kingdom Island. That the island was destroyed, and he took them in with him. Sabo knows that the mission. Sabo knows that the mission has to be a success. Whatever his captain tells him to do, he will get it done. And he didn't tell anybody anything until he ran it through with Dragon first. And he's not telling them anything. He took that next course of action. Sabo took the next course of action that really showed his passion, his dedication, or his ability to lead and take command if necessary, if Dragon's not giving out any command. Because he had to improvise so much during the reverie. And even now, back from the trip from the reverie, going to Little Sand Kingdom Island, he was a stowaway. From the stowaway, he took him back after seeing it get blown up. Sabo embodies what it means to stay quick on your feet, think about things, and go after what needs to be done as a vice captain without hesitation. I like the list. If I had to move somebody around, Rayleigh would probably move to A tier only because we haven't seen a whole lot. But I'm fine with him being S tier. This is the final of it. Shiryu being in the class all by himself, as well as King. Katakuri just shows a lot more than King does. I put Katakuri and King like neck and neck with one another, but it's just a little bit extra that Katakuri goes over to protect his family, and we don't really see that too much from King. We seen King shooting off wildfire slashes everywhere and hitting whoever was inside there to get the job done. He didn't care about the crew at all, but you got to care about your crew as well as know that you're leading your captain in the right direction or following your captain's orders to a T. It has to be a combination of both to me. And A tier and up shows that we just don't get enough from the A tier. S tier, perfecto. I can switch Sabo and Marco if need be, but there you have it. 12's tier list for the vice captains of One Piece. And we'll see you next time in the next video with more to come. We out.